Hey, it's Derek Jones, and welcome to another episode of Rare Paintball Guns, where we talk about rare, unique, not so rare, some pretty common guns from our past in paintball history. This is a very interesting marker I have for you today. This is the Daystate Sam Patriot. These were made in England, and they were distributed by ProStar Labs. Interestingly enough, this was marketed as England's first semi-automatic paint gun. I don't know that that's true. It may have been the first mass-marketed semi-auto paint gun. However, that's what they claim, and I am in no position to dispute that. So I actually have two of these. These were pretty common from about 1993 to 97. We brought a few in the store that I worked in. They're a Monteel design. So they use the Monteel from like the Icon Z. They're a clone of that. But they made some interesting modifications to their design. And these were actually used by quite a few of the English teams as tournament markers and did just fine. So if you look at the gun, and I'll get you a close-up here in a minute. This is the one I actually shoot. I take this to the field all the time. They marketed with a power feed. When these came out in the 90s, this was pretty trend-setting stuff, and it had the removable plug so you could clean the breech pretty easy. So that's pretty cool. But it also used a similar system to the Automag for the barrel. This is a bayonet-style barrel. I still think it is the best barrel system ever invented. All it does is have a little guide that goes on a plug, and then twist it in stock, and it's that quick to take the barrel off. There's nothing better. The barrel is brass lined, and it mics at about 6.88, so pretty common size at that time. The trigger is very Icon Z-ish. It's not bad, it's not great. Single trigger. And then it used the Lone Star AR-15 grip, which was extremely common at the time. I bottom lined this. This is an aftermarket bottom line. But this is my personal Daystate. I actually have another one, this Sam Patriot right here, that we'll actually take apart, and we'll look at how it works in just a second. But so for a long time, England was importing American guns, but due to restrictions on CO2, they were kind of the first people to use compressed air. These actually work quite well on compressed air for old markers. You still need to be about 600 psi to actually get them to cycle, so you need a high pressure valve. They'll work just fine on CO2, but they work good on compressed air because they have an enlarged valve. So let's break it down and see what it looks like on the inside. Great guns. Pretty excited to do this one. Let me move the camera. Okay, so like I said, these are extremely well made. They're machined in England, and they were pretty popular. They were made from 1993 to 97. This one is serial number 2889, and this is 2910. Pretty close. And I would be willing to bet that there was 3,000-4,000 of these made. If anybody knows more about the Daystate, they came to ProStar Labs, which was out of Denver, and that's where you would get them. Monteel clone. So it shouldn't be that complex. All right, so we got some metric wrenches. These have been in here a while.
You lubricate these with oil, and these do need to be lubricated, but I don't have any air right now, so I'm not going to bother. We're just going to take it apart. 2 screws right there.
Top rail comes off, and this one's actually pretty well lubricated. I probably did it a couple years ago and didn't even realize it. You got this. This is your bar that connects the bolt to the valve. And there's your hammer right there. And when you pull that trigger, that bolt slams forward, and that bar carries the bolt forward, expelling the ball, and then the pressure pulls it back, and the bar pulls the bolt back into place. Pretty standard Monteel design right there. They use really beefy frame screws.
Some of them are a little rusty. Clean those out. There's the front too. And do the rear. That one's in there pretty good.
Alright, so the frame screws are all the same size, so that's good. I'm always careful when I take a gun apart. And there's your frame. Pretty standard. You got a sear with a return spring and a catch. That's it. Not very complex there. That right there. And then if we pull the gun apart, there's our bolt. Interesting setup here. You've got a brass, and I'm guessing they've drilled this for weight, and this is probably why it's good with compressed air, is the bolt is tuned. Delrin bolt, and this gun is, you know, well over 20 years old, and it's in incredible condition. And then we've got valve right there, and this is your valve. When that slams into there, that lets the air out, which circles through this. When the bolt slams into that pushes this plunger forward, air comes forward, and it is allowed to go into the bolt at that point, which then fires the ball. So, and I need a snap wrench to pull that apart. I'm not going to take this one apart today. There's a spring and a cup seal in there. It's not horribly complex. I just don't have the tools to do it, so I'm not going to. And then I'm pretty sure that this is your anti-double ball right here. So, in fact, I'm positive it is. I know it is. I haven't taken it apart in a long time. I used to service these all the time, but that was when I worked in a paintball store. And there's your springs, and then you've got these two really cool looking, and there is its testicles. No, I mean they're anti-double ball, so pretty tiny, and they just use little springs. Other than that, you have a aluminum body with a welded power feed and very basic design. There's your bayonet lug for your barrel. And the cool thing is the machining on this is just first rate. They're very smooth. They're very well machined. All right, now should be able to pull that out. That's the hammer. That's the hammer bolt, or the hammer lever, and a spring. And that is it right there. So there is your field stripped Sam Patriot. Not a very complex gun, but expertly machined. Just a very beautiful piece of equipment. The English have done just a really good job of designing this gun. So let's put it back together, and then we'll talk about it a little bit more. All right, so these balls just go right there. And then this is the only tricky part to a Sam Patriot.
Yeah, it's been a while. I used to be pretty good at this, but this is the only tricky part. I would love to see more of these guns made. I always liked the Monteel designs. They were really good in cold weather. In fact, I loved it. We put them on liquid and okay. And that pin actually locks into a groove on that bolt. And then, Get that right there.
All right, and there you have it. There's an assembled, field stripped and cleaned Sam Patriot, and I will oil this later. Pretty interesting design, very well made. I'll back off, we'll talk about it a little more. Okay, so there you have it. There is a field stripped and reassembled Daystate Sam Patriot. And again, if you get a chance to pick one of these up, I highly recommend it. They are so well made and just a really fun marker to play with. They're getting rare. I still see them on eBay occasionally, see them on Craigslist. There was quite a few of them where we worked. I think we sold 15 or 20 of them in the Utah area, so I would assume more than that in most states, so if you keep an eye out. This one I have been playing with for almost 20 years, and it has never given me a single problem. And I switched from CO2 to compressed air. Doesn't matter. It shoots great. I dropped it a few years ago and bent the power feed. I should fix that. But just great fun guns all the way around. And it's kind of sad that Daystate kind of dropped. After this, they had another, like a cheaper, it looked like an Illustrator to me, and I'll try to get another one. And it didn't do very well, and I think that's what did them in. And ProStar Labs, they kind of went out of way, and nobody was distributing them anymore. And England kind of got into the American guns, or the Autocockers and the Automacs, and these kind of went to the way of the Dodo, which is a shame. The Monteel design is a very, very good design. It's been copied multiple times because it's just easy to manufacture. It's easy to work on, and they work great in all types of weather. Like I said, we ran these on siphon tanks in the summer, shooting liquid, and they shot great. But this one runs just fine on high pressure compressed air. I did find that I need to go to a larger hose. You can't do microline. You have to do macro or braided hose to actually get enough airflow to cycle the valve. Anyway, if you like the video and you like what we're doing here, please do us a favor and give us a like, or even better, subscribe, or even better than that, like and subscribe. It helps us get bigger and maybe, produce more content. And I appreciate you guys' support, and I will see you next time.